All right. So, guys, let's begin. Now, the last lecture I had talked about exception classes hierarchy. So, the structure, how these classes are organized, we were just trying to explore that by opening up the built in classes. Fine. So, we had two types of exceptions. One is runtime, and the other one is called as compile time. And we saw the diagram that any class that extends runtime exception class, it directly comes under the category runtime. So these exceptions are seen when you run a dot class file. But when we talk about compile time exception, you just type the code in Eclipse. Eclipse is compiling your code to dot class file automatically. There is nothing I need to do it. The IDE takes care of these things. See, that is the advantage of IDE versus writing the code on the notepad. Now the IDE converts that particular code to dot class file automatically, and during that conversion, we see exceptions occurring. Okay. Now we will continue further. We will also talk about errors. But before we discuss about errors, let's see what is the thing we will have to now do. We will have to now explore these classes one by one. Fine. Firstly, we'll explore arithmetic exception. Fine. So there is an exception class called as arithmetic exception class. When to use this class? Okay. Whenever an invalid arithmetic operation is being performed, whenever an invalid mathematical operations are being performed, I'm interested in throwing arithmetic exception. Okay. See this here. Let's now go to the Java project. Let's open this up. And in this particular Java class, I will write here, I will write here one simple code. Int x is equal to 10, int y is equal to 0, int z is equal to x divided by y, and let us print here welcome. Fine. Now if I run this, observe, I will get an option exception here called as arithmetic exception. Okay. Now when did this exception occur? This exception occurred because we did some invalid mathematical operation. Correct? How do I handle this now? To handle this, we will use a try catch block. And since it's an arithmetic exception, in the catch block, I can use the specific class name arithmetic exception. You can give this variable name anything. It's a reference variable. And if you now print here, if you now print here a dot get message, it'll give you the message. Earlier it was not printing welcome, correct? But now since I'm handling the exception, if any exception occurs, I'm handling that exception. And because of handling the exception, the further code executes and it is now printing what? Welcome. Fine. Arithmetic exception class in Java can handle only arithmetic exception. It cannot handle any other exceptions other than arithmetic exception. Many a times in the projects, you will purposefully throw exceptions when invalid work is done. Right now, the exceptions are occurring because I'm dividing a number by 0. But many a times in the project, what we will do, when a wrong input is being provided by the user, I will purposefully create one exception and throw that. How, what, we will all discuss about this further. Fine. But for now, basic thing, keep this in mind. When invalid mathematical operation like dividing a number by 0, I do it, arithmetic exception class can handle that exception. Is this clear? Everyone? Yes. You can see here, throws when an exceptional arithmetic condition has occurred. Example, integer, divide by 0. Okay, that is what they are telling. So let's write that definition here. Let's write that definition here. The definition is now arithmetic exception. Okay, arithmetic exception. When invalid mathematical operations are performed, we get arithmetic, arithmetic exception as shown in below example. As shown, shown in, shown in below example. Okay. Is this clear, everyone? I hope all people online, you're clear with it. So this is runtime, correct? Because this exception you will get only when you run your project, when you run the dot class file. Otherwise, this exception cannot be seen. That's why it comes under the category runtime exception. It occurs during the runtime phase of your program. There are two phases. One is the compile time phase and the other one is runtime phase. We are talking about what? Runtime phase. Is this clear? Everyone, make a note of it. Done? Write this example. Is this clear? Everyone? Yeah? Okay. Now, observe. When this exception occurs, I don't know the line number where this exception has occurred. See, I want to know the place where this exception has occurred so that I can further from there, I can debug and I can understand what the problem is. See, if I don't know the exact line number where the problem is, then for me, further analysis, I will not be able to do it. So what I'll do is, I'll write here a dot print stack trace. Now, print stack trace is a method that comes from throwable class. Open this method, you see that public void print stack trace. Now, this method we are inheriting from a class which is called as what? Throwable, right? From a class called as what? Throwable. See, right? So this method is present inside the class throwable. Which method? Print stack trace. Print stack trace. Okay? Here. Fine. The job of this print stack trace method is to now give us in layman terms the line number where the exception has occurred. Can you see that here now? Which says that look, the exception has occurred at line 8. When I click on that, it takes me to line 8 and says that exception has occurred at line 8 and the problem is somewhere here. Fine. So please make a note of this as well quickly. So what stack trace does? The print stack trace is inherited from throwable. That's why there is a class hierarchy, right? If the stack trace is present in throwable, then all child classes can access that method. That method is reusable in all the child classes. Correct? Even an exception class can access, arithmetic exception can handle, file not found exception class. Every class has an access to this method. Because this method is present in the supermost class of your exception class hierarchy. Is this clear? Everyone? Continue. Okay. Now, let's look at further thing. Okay, we can take one more example. Let's say I'm doing z equals x percentage y. What this percentage does here? When I do this, what it does here? Huh? It'll give me the reminder. So when I divide 11 by 2, what is the reminder we get? Are we getting 1? Correct? So when I use this, it is going to give me the reminder. After division, whatever reminder we have, it will give that. Suppose I now again divide by 0. Again, what exception I am going to get? See, arithmetic exception class can handle only arithmetic exception. If some other exception occurs here, it will go unhandled. Understand the meaning of specific exception class that we have picked up now? If I say arithmetic exception can handle only arithmetic exception. Any other exception, if I'm talking about, it's incapable of handling that. Is this clear? Please make a note of it. Write down. Without seeing. Don't blindly copy. This will not help you. Got it? See the journey of getting placed. There are a lot of technical skills you'll have to acquire. Okay? Incomplete learning cannot help you to get job. Keep this in mind. Okay? Because see, today starting an institute is one of the easy business. Anybody can learn from YouTube, start off an institute. Whether he has worked in the industry or not, secondary. Correct? Some few lectures you learn on YouTube, design one basic syllabus, go to colleges, do marketing, tell placement, 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 get the people to institute, and then after that, put some fake photos on Instagram, show placements, 1 year validity over, course over, I don't know who you are, right? Out of the institute, chapter close. Correct? Please understand that. So beyond, in Bangalore market, I can tell you, beyond GSP and servlets, the lectures will not go. Especially in BTM layout. In our BTM layout, beyond servlets, JSPs, your lectures will not go further. Core Java, JSP and servlet, 7 months. Spring Boot, Hibernate, 15 days. Spring Boot and Hibernate should be 4 months. JSP servlets, 15 days. Because that is outdated, no use. Core Java. The more time you have to spend on Spring Boot, Hibernate. Got it? API development. This is where the interview questions will come. JSP servlet, nobody will ask. But what happens is 4 months Java training, 2 months JSP servlets, 15 days Spring Boot Hibernate. करेक्ट? सर ऐसा क्यों है? ऐसा इसलिए बिकॉज स्प्रिंग बूट हाइबरनेट इज अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ अ सब्जेक्ट, और वहां पे अगर आप पढ़ाई ध्यान से करोगे तभी जाके प्लेसमेंट होने वाला है, सबसे कोर वही होने वाला है, और प्रोजेक्ट. गॉट इट? Because that's where your ultimate experience of learning will become clear. Okay? Anyways, let's continue further. Now, let's move ahead further. Now, what are we going to see is this. The next exception class. What is that? Can you read that for me? Second one, what is it? null pointer exception. So when you go to null pointer exception, what is null pointer exception? Now, I have a reference variable with a null value. What does it mean? It means in this program, object is not created. Okay, it means in this program, object is not created. Null means there is no object created. There is a reference variable, but there is no object created in the program. Now, if I in case use a1.x, which means I'm accessing x with a null reference variable. I'm accessing x with a null reference variable. Now, in this case, you will get null pointer exception. What is the exception you will get? Null pointer exception. When do we get null pointer exception? When the reference variable is null. With a null reference variable, when non-static members are accessed, it will give you null pointer exception. But if I make it static, what will happen in this case? Huh? Will it work? Huh? Internally, it is converted to a dot x. You understood now why we should not access static members with a reference, even if you're doing it. Since internally a1 dot x is converted to capital A dot x, this will work. But if it is non-static, what will it give? Null pointer exception. Okay, null pointer exception. When exception occurs, whatever I'm writing at line 8, will it continue to run? Will this get printed? No, this will not get printed. Correct? This will not get printed. So how do we handle this exception? So we have our try catch block, and we are going to write here e dot. Why e dot stack trace? Because that gives us the line number where the exception has occurred. I can go to that line number 8, exception has occurred. But further, it prints what? Welcome. Okay, so let's write down the next one. What is the next one? Null pointer exception. When with null reference variable, we access non-static members of the class, we get null pointer exception. We get null pointer exception. When with null reference variable, we access non-static members of the class, we get null pointer exception. Okay, is this clear? Because static members are accessed in static way, right? Okay, static members you can access in what? Static way. That is class name. You cannot access the reference variable. So when you do wrong, the Java during compilation corrects that particular code. Okay, automatically corrects that code. Is this clear? Please write this down. Try to write down without seeing. Do not simply copy the code. We'll soon start with Linux classes. Linux. Okay. Sir, why we should learn Linux? Why we should learn Linux? Not just DevOps, as a developer also, okay, Linux is required because your application will be deployed 80% of the time on Linux servers. Though I'm developing in Windows operating system, the software deployment, finally, when I deploy my software in the servers are going to be Linux. Got it? Now, to interact with the Linux operating systems, Linux commands are required. We don't have GUI like this, where you will perform a right click, and Linux also has a GUI. But when it comes to the servers, we will go with the commands, right? Application is running in the server, something went wrong, logs are generated. The developer should be able to write the Linux commands and see the logs. Now you ask, from the starting point of BTM to the last point, do you teach Linux in full stack? They will tell why you should learn Linux, right? The answer will be why you should learn Linux. You learn DSA. You learn DSA, but DSA, if you're learning the product based companies, please understand Google, Meta, Netflix, Microsoft. Okay, they might focus on data structures, but how many people are they hiring? How many people are they hiring? How many job openings are we getting from them? And their interview process also, if it starts, it will be like, if it has started today, it will take 1.5 months for the results to be finalized. The interview process only will go on for 1.5 months in product based company, which is as good as preparing for your government exams, IAS, KS. Ha. So the majority of the companies are service based companies. See, majority of the companies who are hiring, you notice in HCL, last 2 months we have near about to 60, 70 students joining. Correct? Majority of the companies hiring will be service based companies. Okay? So service based companies job openings are going to be very high. Our syllabus has to target that. Are you understanding? DSA preparation, if you want to do it, then 1 year is required. All these small questions that has been picked, that will not help you. Okay. After joining service based company, then you can start off with your DSA preparation. For us, DSA as of now will be collection concept, array list, linked list, and things like that. Fine. This is what we will be covering. We will cover that which is required. But in the product based companies, this will happen. Yeah, product based companies, but how many job openings do we have? How many calls are we going to get? Are they going to shortlist my profile? Lot of questions are going to arise there. And near about 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7 rounds, sometimes 8, 8, 10, 10 rounds will go on. 7 rounds, 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds. क्यों ऐसे करना है? सीधा सीधा जाके पहले कंपनी में ज्वाइन करो, 8-10 लाख का पैकेज लगा, 1 साल काम करो, दूसरी कंपनी चेंज करो, डायरेक्ट आप 18 से 20 लाख का पैकेज, राइट आफ्टर 1 year you can take it. See, just I'm going little off topic, if you don't mind. Shall I? See, point is, what happens, I'll tell you. The job openings, when we are talking about, correct? The, see, there are now a lot of people, they say one is a product based companies, the second one is service based companies, the third one will be, okay, outsourcing companies like payroll companies. Okay, or we can write outsourcing companies. Fine. Now, product based companies, very exclusive. Correct? Very exclusive. Where you should be good with data structures, this, that, everything. And, companies are limited, exclusive, but they will give you salaries very high, right? With 2 years experience, you can get 20, 25 lakhs of package. One of my student has taken, I think with 3 years experience, he joined a company first. He worked in a service based company for 1 year, and then he joined Amazon. He got a package of 75 lakhs, right? He got a package of what? Right? 75 lakhs. Fine. So now understand, this guy has taken 75 as a package. It was not immediate. He first worked in a service based company. Then after that, he has gone to a product based company. You can also go to that. But here the jobs are going to be limited. The maximum job openings will come in service based company. Service based companies like, see, Amazon is a product based company because they don't build softwares for someone else. They have their own application on which they are selling something, making money. Netflix, it's their own product. Okay, where they're selling the subscriptions, correct, to people. That's again a product based company, correct? Same way, if you notice Microsoft. Now, Microsoft will not build softwares for someone else. Microsoft is building applications for themselves. Correct? So that's a product based company. Meta, you go to Facebook, WhatsApp, everything. Correct? So they are using WhatsApp for generating business. How, sir? See, WhatsApp for you and me, it is free. But when WhatsApp Make My Trip is using it, per WhatsApp message, they are charging 80 paisa. Which means once they send a message on WhatsApp, Make My Trip has to pay 80 paisa to WhatsApp. Imagine one day they are making at least somewhere around, okay, 20,000 transactions. Okay, 30,000 transactions, 1 lakh transactions. Overall put together, hotel booking, flight booking, bus booking, IRCTC, this, that, everything, 1 lakh transaction is happening. 80 paisa into 1 lakh. Correct? Which means they are just doing billing of somewhere around, let's say, correct? It is huge billing. 80 lakhs of billing is what basically happening out there. Yes or no? Are you understanding? Huge. It's huge. Please understand that now. So what I'm trying to tell you is now, in the monthly billing of there will be in crores. It will be in crores. Okay? So they're all product-based companies. Now when it comes to service-based company, see, companies like IBM, HCL, right? Accenture, these are all service-based company. What they're doing now, okay, there are some clients, they're getting the projects, they're hiring developers, making you work on that project. Let's say I'm now interested in starting one online flight ticket booking application. I'm a customer. I'll go to HCL, I'll reach them out, they'll give me quotation. That look, this is what the pricing will be for you to build a flight reservation application. Right? They will start my project. Fine. So that is service based. Outsourcing, even service based companies, they do outsourcing. You join HCL, they will deploy you to Deutsche Bank project. You join HCL, right? You join basically TCS. Now TCS, they hired you. After hiring you, they're making you work on SBI Bank project. You're working in SBI location. So how they're doing is, from SBI, they're taking 10 lakh salary. They'll keep some 2 lakhs commission, 8 lakhs they will give you. That is nothing but what? Outsourcing, payroll. Did you understand now? Right? Okay. So maximum job openings are going to come here. Lot of people that tell, sir, outsourcing jobs are bad because there's a contract of only 1 year. You're wrong. Correct? Every company will do outsourcing. Today, HCL, so many requirements to come is because I've got into outsourcing. You notice majority of my students have joined now. They are again giving them 6 months of training on different technology. They're training them again. Why they're training? Because certain technologies getting employees are difficult. So on some very exclusive technologies, they're training, keeping the staffs ready, and then they will outsource them. By outsourcing, what's happening? They will tell this employee will cost you. It's like selling software engineer. In short, okay? मतलब you are a product, right? अभी आपका ये होने वाला है, आपको बेचेंगे. कैसे बेचेंगे? वो बोलेगा ये 3 साल का एक्सपीरियंस इंजीनियर है, तो बोलेगा कितना लोगे इसका? 12 लाख. ठीक है, 12 लाख में आपको क्या करेगा? वो डॉइच बैंक भेज देगा. अब 12 लाख HCL विल टेक, एंड देन फ्रॉम दैट विल टेल तुम तुम्हारा 6 लाख रखो, 6 लाख मेरा कमीशन साल का. आउटसोर्सिंग. डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड नाउ? कमीशन एजेंट्स जो यहाँ पे भी घूम रहे अपने BTM में, बहुत सारे कमीशन यूट्यूबर्स आपको मिलते रहेंगे, राइट? जो कमीशन के काम करते करते घूमते रहेंगे यहाँ वहां. या so these are commissioning work. Did you understand now? Now comes is the service based. Service based is projects have been given, but you're working only on that project. But here what's happening in outsourcing? You joined HCL. HCL then deployed you to Deutsche Bank. You're working in Deutsche Bank and you're working on Deutsche Bank project. Deutsche Bank is paying 12 lakhs to HCL. HCL now from that takes 6 lakhs, gives it to you. 6 lakhs per annum will keep the commission. This becomes outsourcing. Service based, directly you're an employee of HCL. HCL is paying you 8 lakhs directly, but HCL has taken lump sum amount for the project. How much cost will be this project? Will say, okay, I will charge some 3 crores for this project. Fine. 3 crores rupees I'll pay you. Okay, fine. For 3 crores, I will keep so many employees. Let's say some 10 employees I will keep. 10 employees I will keep, average salary 8 lakhs. I'm going ahead and spending some 80 lakhs rupees on that. Fine. And rest of the whatever profits, benefits, everything is there, HCL will take it. This will become service based. Maximum job opening, 80% jobs will come here. 80 to 90% jobs has to come here. Okay, 10% jobs will come here. Now think about it smartly. Should I spend my entire life for that 10% of the job to begin with? And tomorrow, If that doesn't gives me job, then what? So 80% of the job, what they are demanding, see, they're demanding concepts like candidate has to be good with project, candidate has to be good with Spring Boot, candidate has to be good with Hibernate, candidate should have good knowledge of microservices, candidate should have, good knowledge of basically like, ER diagrams, okay, system design, things like that. Okay, good exposure to certain tools, XYZ thing. This is what they are demanding, right? But if you go for product based companies, that 10% of the job opening, where we always look at that salary things. Okay, you know what? You join here, starting salary is 30 lakhs. Arey bhai, starting salary is not always the ending salary of your life. People start with some salary, but I've seen they've grown very rapidly because in IT company, one year you can change the jobs. Got it now? Is this clear? This is what last alumni meet one of the candidate was telling. Did you understand? He was telling if you're going for product based companies, you learn data structures and algorithm. If you want to go with the other jobs, 90% of the jobs where hiring is happening across the world. If you want to join there, then better go for the syllabus that is required for them. Are you understanding? Everyone, 10% जॉब, तो उससे अच्छा आप गवर्नमेंट एग्जाम्स का प्रिपरेशन कर लो. हाँ, नहीं, यहां पे भी कठिन होने वाला है. यहाँ पे भी आपको 1 साल का प्रिपरेशन करना पड़ेगा. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट ग्रेड ए प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनीज. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट छोटे छोटे प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनीज. वहां पे कोई ऐसा नहीं है 8-10 लाख का. मैं बोल रहा हूँ 50 लाख 60 लाख का जो पैकेज दे रही वो कंपनीज का बात कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, ओके. हमारे को यहाँ पे 8-10 लाख का टू बिगिन विथ, 15 लाख का भी पैकेज टच करेगी. बच्चे यहाँ पे भी 18-20 लाख तक का पैकेज स्टार्टिंग जॉब में टच कर देते. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन योर स्मार्टनेस. Okay, that's it, guys. Okay, so let's continue. Now, I hope you got this null pointer exception. Everybody, yeah, made a note of this now. Now, further, I have to talk about array index out of bounds exception. But in order to discuss about array index out of bounds exception, we will firstly have to learn arrays. And in order to learn arrays, firstly, you should be aware of conditional statements. You should have knowledge of uh, for loops, while loop, do while loop, all of these things. Is this clear? When we have knowledge of these things, then only we can begin with arrays. But I will give you a short introduction of array to begin with today. Then we'll learn loops, again come back to arrays. Is this clear, everyone? Yes? Okay. Now, when we are talking about arrays, understand, okay? When we are discussing about arrays, understand this very clearly. What are arrays? And why an array is required? I want to store collection of values. I want to store an element as a collection. Then I will go with arrays. For example, I want to store, okay, one person's age. One person's age, right? Okay. So I will create one variable and I will store that person's age, whatever the age is. Correct. I will store that person's age. One variable, I'm storing one age. If I want to store, let's say, 100 candidates' age, I should create 100 variable, because every variable can store only a particular candidate's age. I want to store 1 lakh candidate age. I want to store, okay, let's say 1 crore candidate's age. I want to store 100 crores candidate's age. Then, so I cannot do that here. The reason being is, now the problem with this is variable is a variable can store only one value. But many a times we will have a requirement of storing collection of values. Example, something like this. Now, let's assume I want to store, okay, all the fruits available, okay, in the mall. Okay, all the fruits categories that they have now, I want to store that as one collection called as fruits. Correct? So now here I will definitely use the concept of array. I will use data structures concept, which will help me to store all your fruits as one collection. How, sir? That is what we are going to explore and learn here. Now, how we will practically use this? See, when you're developing, let's say, some applications like, I want now to generate an OTP number. Okay. Now, there are so many people, okay, they are trying to log in. And at a given point of time, I'm generating, let's say, 500 OTPs. Correct? I want to store this 500 OTPs. Whenever I enter the mobile number in my login page, it is generating 500 OTPs. Now, this 500 OTPs, how do I store that, which is being generated? Correct? So, definitely, I will go here with the concept of collection. Why the concept of collection? Because collection will help me to store all these OTPs in one place. Okay, that is what a data structure will become very beneficial in terms of what storing such data in your project. Okay, I hope this part is clear, everyone. Yes. Okay, so how do we now create an array? Array is one of the very simple data structure. To create an array, we use the square brackets, give an array name, and then we write new, the data type with a square bracket, and give the size of an array. The size of an array here happens to be what? 3. Now, what is this line actually doing? What's happening here? Okay, when I'm writing this line of code. See, what is happening when you write this line of code is, guys, when you now write down new int of 3, this is going to create one object. This is going to create one object. And this object's address now, I'm going to store that into the reference variable x. Because whenever I'm using new keyword in Java, an object is getting created. That is what is happening here right now. An object is getting created. And that object now has 3 sections in it. Assume like that. This is section 1, section 2, and 3. So section 1 is 0, 1, and then 2. Which means this object has 3 partitions which can store the data in it as a collection. Okay, I hope this part is clear, all of you now. Yes, everybody got this? So what is happening when I create an array? When I'm creating an array, it's actually creating an object in Java, and that object has certain partitions. Okay, the partitions in the object depends on the size of the object. Now, if you just print x, you will tend to see here what it does. It will now create the physical location. It will print us the address where this object has been created for an array where this object has been created. Got it? So whenever I use new keyword, it is creating an object. Now, one very important thing about arrays is arrays maintain the insertion order. Right? What do you mean by it maintains an insertion order? The order in which I will save the data now, the same order the data will be saved in an array. Array uses a continuous block of memory. For example, let's say I have some benches here. Now, when the students they walk in, what I will do now, I will make them sit on the bench in an order, like exam hall. There are register numbers that's been written down. You need to sit in that particular order. The order in which you are entering your classroom, in the same order you are going to occupy your benches. Is this clear, everybody, now? So here the sequence of insertion will be maintained in case of what? Arrays. Fine. The sequence of what? Inserting the data will be maintained. Now, how do we insert the data? In order to insert the data, we will write x of 0, 10. Let's write x of 1. Let me write here 20. And then x of 2. Let me write here 30. The order in which I've entered the data now. The first data entered is 10, then 20, then 30. The order in which the data is being entered now, that order will be maintained, and this is nothing but a collection of data for me. Right? All these 3 values are now stored inside this single array. This array X has now collection of 3 values. What is that? 10, 20, and 30. Fine. Now, in order to retrieve the value, now how do we retrieve this value? Let's see this here. Right? Why we should start with index 0? Why not we should start with some other index number? See, when an array is created, I'm treating this as an object. This object has how many partitions, guys? It has 3 partitions. Fine. Let's take the first object has a value that is 10. The second value here is 20. And the third value here happens to be 30. Is this clear, everyone? The index numbers that you see here is 0, and then 1, and then what? 2. Now, sir, can you please tell me why the index starts with 0? Why the index does not start with 1? Why we should always start the index with 0 in an array? Why the index cannot start with any other number? Why? So how do you calculate that? Let's say the address of this is 20. If it is int, each block is of 4 bytes. So this block is of 4 bytes. So the next Okay, block will start at 24. So from here, 4 bytes. This will start at what? 28. Sir, how did you know this is 4 bytes each block? Because what is the memory size of int? The memory size of int is 4 bytes, which means the total amount of data stored inside this array is occupying 4 plus 4 plus 4, 12 bytes of memory. Each block is of 4 bytes. Now, let's say I want to retrieve the data. I want to store the data in the first block. How will you do that now? So, array uses one formula internally. It uses one formula internally. What is that formula? Can you tell me what is that formula? The formula is start address, start address plus. It will then use memory size into index. Fine, into index. What does it mean? Now let's say I now use x of 0. When I use x of 0, it has to go to the 0th index and store the data. But how? So what happens, I'll tell you. In order to store the data, what is the index here? 0. Right? What is the memory size here? Memory size here is 4. Plus, what is the starting address? 20. So 20 plus 4 into 0 will become 20. Now that will automatically go to that memory address 20 and store this value 10. If I now use x of 2, so what is 2 here? Index into. What is 4 here? Memory size. Plus, what is the starting address? 20. What am I getting here? 28. So when I write x of 2, it will go to the memory location which is 28 and it will store 30. Got it? So that's why in array, because this formula is used, the memory has to be in sequence. Are you understanding? The memory creation has to be in sequence. So whenever I give that index number and try to store the value, behind the scene, array uses this particular formula, and based on that formula, it interacts with that particular memory location and enters the data. Okay? Did you understand this? What did I tell you now? Yes. So if I want to store the data here, how it will calculate? 20 plus 4 into 1. So what we will get? 24. When we get 24, what it will do now? It will go to the memory address 24 and stores that particular value. Even while retrieving the data, even while you're retrieving data, x of 0. Now, if the index does not start with 0, then the first memory block will be wasted. Did you understand now? The first memory block in your array will be wasted if you don't start with index 0. See, suppose I don't start with index 0. I start with index 1. Then I'll not be able to store the data in the first block of your memory. Did you understand why the index has to start with 0 in an array? Keep this in mind. And why the memory has to be continuous. Every block of memory is continuous. Okay? Because of the formula, the memory has to be continuous. Now, if you want to retrieve the data, for now, as we have not started with the loops, which is very easy concept, I'll directly retrieve the data by writing this. By doing this, what will happen now? When I write x of 0, we'll apply the formula in the backend. What is the formula? Start address plus memory size into index number. Based on that, it will get what? Right. The address location, it will go to that address, fetch the value, and it will print. Okay. Like this, it will fetch the value and it will print the value. Did you all get this now? Yes. So what are arrays? Let's see this here now. Okay. Let's see what our chat GPT has to tell us now. So let's go to chat GPT. We'll just ask here, what are arrays? Let's write here, what are arrays in Java? See here. Okay, in Java, an array is a data structure that allows you to store multiple values of the same type in single variable. Rather than declaring multiple variables, an array allows you to group them together in continuous block of memory, which makes managing, accessing, related data more efficient. Is this clear, everyone, now? That's what we discussed so far. But I've also explained why basically the memory has to be continuous because of the formula that array is going to use to store and retrieve the value. Got it? Second thing, we also talked about, okay, advantage of grouping the values together. The advantage of grouping the values together is you need not create multiple variables. This is what I started with. If it is one candidate age, one variable. 100 candidate, 100 variable. 1 crore candidate, I cannot create 1 crore variables. Rather, I will go with what? A data structure. Right? Now, What are the other things? The other things is the array size is fixed. What do you mean by that? Once I create an array, right? Whatever the size of the array I've given here now, that happens to be what? Fixed there. Is this clear, everyone? Each element in an array has an index starting from 0, which we've already talked about it. This also we have talked about it. क्यों पूछे आप पूछो. Okay, why memory in array starts with index 0, right? हाँ. नहीं ये गड़ देखिए, it is still giving us the same basic answer. It automatically initializes to default value. The default value of the array depends on the size, okay, on the type of the data stored in the array. ये answer. हाँ. क्या? See, that will not give you right answer. Ultimately, chat GPT है ना, right? The reason for memory analysis is 0. Java has to do, okay, with how Java manages memory. Need to maintain consistent safety of the program. Here is a memory initialization. हाँ, तो हमने वही पूछा ना. Why memory? Okay. Why index in array starts with 0? खुश? अरे वो चीज आप करो ना भाई. Right? We'll stop this and we'll do this. Let's see what it does now. Historical influence. The decision to start with index was largely influenced by early programming language like C. In this language, arrays are essentially just blocks of continuous memory. The index of an array is used to calculate the address of each element. Okay, this is somewhere it is matching that we are using the index to calculate the address of each element in the memory. Correct? Okay. The address of the first element in the array can be calculated starting address of the array plus index multiplied by size of the element. बराबर बता रहा है. ठीक है? Is this clear everyone now? That is what we did, right? Okay, everyone? Okay. Anyways, now with this, we people have just understood that what exactly is happening when it comes to what arrays. We will discuss more about it in detailed manner coming series of lecture. From tomorrow, I'm shifting your batch in app, right? In the app, okay, please ensure one thing that uh, people have to download the apps, whoever have joined the program, made the fees payment, and will be shifting the classes to app from tomorrow. And classes will happen in PSA app. It will not be on YouTube because I've given very comfortable time for people to understand the things. Is this clear? Yes. And okay, there is a lot of things I will be discussing. Lot of things, syllabus again, the plus to the syllabus we have done it, which you will realize that in the further classes. Is this clear? Plus Kafka is been added. Okay. So you will all get to learn Kafka as well. But this is only for the existing batches. I will not be implementing that for all the old batches. Okay. All the existing batches who are studying right now, you will also get to learn Kafka, the messaging broker. Also, uh, going forward, we will do a project on microservices. So we will use Kafka, microservices. At least uh, we will learn, at least I'll tell you 17 to 20 tools, right? From the industry point of view, we will learn GitHub, Bitbucket. Then we will learn debugging skills in strong manner, right? And this will all be only in the existing batches. So this part of the syllabus will not be included in the old batches. Is this clear? Then you people will be working with a lot of other things like Redis, cache, how does it work? Why is it required? Correct? Sonar Cube, right? We will be talking about that. Okay? Then we will also have a complete understanding on how logs are being monitored, right? Once you deploy your application on the server, correct? Then after we people are going to discuss about a lot of AWS services, correct? A lot of AWS services will be covered in the classes. And then we people are going to build one project which will consist of complete end-to-end implementations with the payment gateways. Okay, complete microservices architecture, everything we are going to explore that. Fine. So the flow of the classes will change because we have to get ready for the upcoming market condition. Okay, upcoming market conditions, expectations will be much higher. So that is why we are planning to change this. It will not be like another 3 4 months, you will start seeing tremendous amount of changes. Okay, because expectations are increasing, and in Bangalore market especially it has started. Okay, expectations are high. We will be adding up the concept of system design. Okay, system design was not a part of our classes, so system design will be a part of our lectures. Okay, then we will work on e-commerce portal. Fine. So we'll implement a complete end-to-end e-commerce portal. We will see how ER diagrams of that can be done, or probably we can take any project. Project is like anything we can take it. That's not the concern. The core part of the project, if you understand, then anything we can work on that. Fine. So like this, lot of tools. This time I will be including it, which should give us excellent interview calls and excellent approach in terms of cracking the interview. Fine. Okay. Bye. New batch March 5th. I've already said that, no? I'm starting new batch on March 5th. हाँ, प्ले स्टोर में है ना? हाँ, आपको बताएगा, डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट. हाँ, हाँ. हम नहीं देगी बोलना डायरेक्टली.